Lesson 4.2, graphing quadratic functions in vertex or intercept form. So the vertex form of a quadratic function is y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. And you need to know that the ordered pair hk is the vertex, that x equals h is our axis of symmetry, AOS, and we're going to use A to determine if our graph opens up or down. Okay, so our A value, -3, indicates that our graph will open down. HK, so our vertex is going to be -2, 4, and our axis of symmetry, x equals h, is going to be -2. So we'll put that information on the graph and then continue from there. Next, we're going to choose two values for x and sub them in. So I'm going to choose -1 for x and 0. I will sub them into the original equation to determine my y's. So when we sub in our -1 for our x and solve it, we end up getting y equals 1. The next one, we said x is equal to 0, and when we solve, we end up getting y equals -8. So we're going to go over to our graph and plot it. So we go over -1, up 1, and then 0, and we go down 8. And then remember, we're creating a mirror image, so we can just go over 1 from my axis of symmetry. And down here we went over 2, so I could go over 2 to the left. And then we connect our points. It's a little crooked, but that's our graph. So that's graphing using vertex form. Next, we'll take a quick look at intercept form. Intercept form is y equals a times x minus p times the quantity x minus q. P and Q are the x-intercepts, and the axis of symmetry is halfway between the x-intercepts. So we would say x equals the quantity p plus q divided by 2. And again, we're going to use the a to determine if it opens up or down. So let's try y equals 2 times the quantity x plus 3 times the quantity x minus 1. And we can see that our x-intercepts are going to be -3 and 1. So we'll plot those. Our graph will open up because our A value is positive. And now we're going to find our AOS, our axis of symmetry. So we say x equals -3 plus 1 divided by 2. So that's -2 over 2. So x equals -1. You can see from our axis of symmetry, our -3 is 1 2 spaces over, and our +1 is 1 2 spaces over. So that's in the center. Next, we're going to sub in the -1 to determine the vertex. So we said x is equal to -1, so we sub that in. So we end up with 2 times 2, add the opposite, times a -2, so 4 times -2 is -8. So our vertex is going to be -1, -8. Our final step is just to connect our points. You can change these forms, the vertex or the intercept form, to standard form, the one we did in lesson 4.1, by using multiplication, foiling it, and simplifying.